Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Weather with Sim forecast. And in today's forecast, we're going to be talking about a large storm that's going to be coming to the United States over the next 5 days. And this is going to bring a lot of impacts, as not only are we anticipating the potential for widespread and significant severe weather across much of the United States, but we will also be going over a potential historic flash flood event that could roll on through the lower Ohio Valley and even the Tennessee River valleys as we get into the next couple of days as well. And this storm will also bring a few other things like a winter storm, especially across the northern United States, and it will also bring the potential for some high winds outside of thunderstorms, which we will go over in today's forecast. Let's start off by talking about what's happening today, and you guys can see that we do have an enhanced risk for severe weather across southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma. This isn't really going to be a big time tornado outbreak for today, but we will still have the potential to see large hail, potentially up to 2 inches in diameter. A few strong tornadoes also being possible, potentially violent, so we will have to keep an eye on that closely, and we will talk about that why in just a second, but something to really keep an eye on closely in that area. And then for wind, not really looking at a big concern for damaging winds, but we could still be seeing a few 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts, so we still will keep an eye on it very closely. Once we get into tomorrow, this is going to be the bigger day to watch for, and we will even talk about tomorrow more, as it even includes areas as far north as the Great Lakes region. You guys can see that we do have this large enhanced risk that includes areas from southern Michigan all the way back down there into northeast Texas. Main concerns for tomorrow will be all hazards, guys. All hazards will be in play for tomorrow, as we're going to have a risk for large to very large hail, especially if you live in this black hatching area, which even includes some of the yellow color, including areas from Indy all the way down there into Texarkana, where 2-inch in diameter hail or greater will be possible. So make sure you guys are all taking this very seriously, as this will be something to keep an eye on, and even you guys in this red color still have a very high chance of seeing large hail, and same with this yellow color as well. Tornado threat for tomorrow, probably the biggest concern, as we could be seeing some more long track strong tornadoes for tomorrow, especially across the lower Ohio Valley and Tennessee River valleys for tomorrow. And then wind threat, probably the biggest concern overall, as we got a pretty big area to watch for widespread damaging winds that could potentially get as high as 75 miles per hour. Now, let's talk about the other storms that we're going to see as we get into the future, because we got another slight risk for severe weather once we get into Thursday, and then we got another slight risk for severe weather once we get into Friday, which both of those days we could be seeing damaging winds, some isolated large hail, and even a few tornadoes, which we will keep an eye on very closely, as we're going to have a stale front right across Illinois just continuing to bring continuous rainfall over the same areas, and so we will need to keep an eye on that very closely as more severe storms do look possible. Let's now talk about how the storm is going to look like, and you guys can see that as we take this forward, we will be tracking some pretty big areas of heavy rainfall, especially on the southern side of the system, as you guys can see, including a big winter storm and ice storm on the northern side of that system, impacting areas across the Great Lakes region and as well as the upper Midwest. And that storm will continue to bring continuous rainfall even as we get into the weekend, with rainfall pretty much going over the same areas, potentially leading to historic and life-threatening flash flooding. So something to really keep an eye on closely, as this storm will really be packing a big punch with how much rainfall it's going to bring. So really make sure you guys are taking this seriously over the next 5 to 7 days, as this storm will really be bringing some pretty big impacts. Let's now talk about why we are seeing such a big tornado threat for the next couple of days, including today. And you guys can see that for today, very high significant tornado parameters. Look at that high significant tornado parameter rate in there will be about 21, which there is actually a 21 showing up right there. So something to really keep an eye on closely, as today's tornado environment will be very favorable. The only reason why we're not expecting anything in the way of a tornado outbreak outbreak is because we have a very strong cap in play. A cap is like a layer of warm air in the atmosphere that keeps the storms from growing, because what would usually be the case is as you get higher into the atmosphere, the air continues to get colder. But this time, as you get into a certain point of the atmosphere, there's a layer of warmer air, which isn't typically the case, but is still a good thing as it keeps the storms from growing high. So that's the reason why we're not expecting a tornado outbreak for today. But like I said, because those significant tornado parameters are way off the scale, we could still be seeing a few violent tornadoes, especially if they're able to break this cap. So really something to keep an eye on today across Oklahoma and as well as Kansas. Once those head out, we will be seeing significant tornado parameters even work their way over here into the Lower Ohio Valley, where we will likely be seeing another big time tornado outbreak once we get into tomorrow. Look at this, guys. Significant tornado parameters off the scale for tomorrow too as well, guys. This is just crazy. And look at that, significant tornado parameters even continue to stay off the scale, where you see those white colors even as we take this forward into Thursday, just continuing across Indiana. So really going to be something to keep an eye on, as I am expecting a large moderate risk for severe weather heading from Indianapolis all the way back down there into Arkansas, guys, if one were to get issued. I don't know if one will, but because of how favorable the environment is, even areas farther north will likely experience tornadoes. So you guys will really need to be taking this very seriously over the next 7 to 5 days. Now, let's talk about the flooding threat. Flooding is going to be probably our biggest concern with this system, because look at how much rainfall we could see. Over the next 5 to 7 days, guys, we could be seeing historic amounts of rainfall. Check this out, guys. From Arkansas all the way up here into southwest Indiana, we're talking potentially over 10 inches of rainfall, guys. Look at all that, 10 inches of rainfall across southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, and like I said, even parts there of southern Indiana will all be at risk for widespread, potentially life-threatening flooding. And the scale only goes up to a 10, guys. It only goes up to a 10. And look at that, we're already seeing 10 inches of rain showing up across this area right here. So we could even be seeing more than 10 inches, guys. This is going to be a crazy severe weather event, and of course a flood event too as well during the same time, because even on Wednesday we're still expecting widespread flash flooding, since we do have a moderate risk for flash flooding for Wednesday, as you guys can see. And look at that, that continues into Thursday, continues into Friday, and then even includes some of the other areas once we get into Saturday as well, guys. Like I said, this is going to be crazy once it really starts to happen as we get into the later part of this week. So we really need you guys to be taking this seriously. It's not something you guys should ignore. Areas that don't normally experience flooding could, as this will be one of the biggest flash flood events I can remember. And we will also be talking about potentially an upgrade to a high risk for flash flooding, which we're not sure which day that would be, but I would probably say that would be Saturday, because all that rainfall that we're likely going to see on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday this week will likely, stay on top of the soil, since the soil will be saturated, and we will also be seeing another additional few inches on top of the saturated soil as we get into Saturday. So I think the best chance for a high risk for flash flooding would probably be Saturday, as we're going to have a lot of that rain just staying right on top of the grass once we get into tomorrow, Thursday, and as well as into Friday. And like I said, I think Saturday may be the biggest day because of that. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, as we will be here for you guys, as this severe weather event and this historic flood event potentially will be very significant, and hopefully we don't see this again as we head throughout the month of April. But the least I can say, though, is that this will be a big one. We're hoping that you all will prepare for this, and subscribing to the channel will really help out a lot, so that way we can help get the word out to everyone. And I really do appreciate your guys' support as well. Make sure to also like today's video, especially if you find it informative. informative, and make sure to also share this video with friends, family, or anyone who you know on social media. I really do appreciate your guys' support, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Tuesday out there, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.